There we go. That got fixed. There we go. Now to get some coffee. Coffee! I need coffee. All right. Like we're getting there. We're getting there. Oh yeah. And make sure everybody check in. Usually hit that thumbs up. I'm gonna go hit the refresh button, see what that does. There we go. All right, so we can close that off there. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me this weekend, or should I say this evening. I've been trying to do a few things here and there, but you know what? I wonder if I can stick this underneath that. What would that look like? What would that look like if I did that? I'm really... Oh.
Hugo Bear is with us as well. I'm just getting myself...
There we go. We're just going to go ahead and minimize that. Yay! And we are back in the game. I need to move the chat over. It looks like alrighty was Canada first. JB, this is 25th. Number 2 and not a sponsor. You are deterred. Oops says rerun. Deanna says hello. Oops. Squeak. 5x5. Milk, no sugar, please. Oh, I'm going to be hurting your feelings today there, living in 1984. But tell your friends, because you could probably tell us even worse stories. Jebby's in the house. We've got Rose to sit there. And it's falling down. All right, I need to pop this chat out so that I can like look at it over here. Also, the things are not where they're supposed to be, actually. The camera is not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be right there. Let me make sure that's... this is why I hate doing this with my phone. It drives me nuts. But I think we're there. I think we're... Maybe turn it that way. Okay. I think that does it. That does it. All right. So tonight's... Where's my damn coffee at? There it is. Using the old mug tonight. If you're not a member, you don't know that there is a members-only live Discord tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you're a member, you can come by. All right. So you know, I talked about this this morning about YouTubers that are just kind of like running their sucks. They're just, everything is doom and gloom, and they're not even trying to do anything about it. And I've got one that I follow who did basically a 3-hour dissertation about how, you know, America and Orange Man bad and all that other stuff. And he's in the UK, and I really do like his personality, but I'm starting to see through a few things. So he's kind of inspired me that like one data point's connected to the next. and he's kind of inspired me. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this is it's not a doom and gloom channel, but it is factual. There's a lot of facts involved here. And so what I've literally done is I've repurposed his thumbnail, I've rechanged his title, and I've reworded his description so that he can understand what he's doing. Now, will he take note? I don't know. I think he's a little bit, I think he kind of believes his own bull just a little too much, but he seems like a genuine person, and I probably wouldn't mind having a beer with the guy. So with that said, I've got kind of a general statement, and then from there we're going to start talking about how Great Britain, the United Kingdom, has fallen. So basically, I'm tired of the YouTube preppers using doom and gloom for clicks. Now, I have concerns about a specific YouTube developer's shift in content and apparently hypocrisy. His focus on criticizing America's economic policies while praising China's plans for global influence suggests a biased narrative that may not align with impartiality expected from someone in the preparedness space. Now, preparedness at its core is about equipping individuals with practical knowledge and strategies to navigate uncertain times, regardless of political affiliations, by prioritizing ideological commentary over actionable preparedness content. He appears to be leveraging his platform to push a specific agenda rather than fulfill the educational role his audience likely expects. His lack of standalone preparedness videos in months further undermines the claim to be a voice in this space, as it indicates a pivot toward divisive, that's a tough word for me, divisive rhetoric over practical solutions oriented content that defines true preparedness advocacy. Now, the hypocrisy of turning on his monetization for a video after stating during his live he would not do so during a live stream is particularly troubling. This action suggests a deliberate attempt to maintain an image of integrity while quietly profiting from controversial content. Such behavior just erodes trust, and as it implies, he values financial gain over transparency with his audience. Now, if he genuinely believed in his message, he would maintain consistency between his words and his actions, especially on a platform where authenticity is critical. His contradiction calls into question whether his critiques of America or support for China are rooted in conviction or merely a means to attract views and subsequently revenue. A creator in the preparedness space should prioritize clarity and honesty, focusing on empowering their audience rather than exploiting hot button issues for profit. Now, while he is entitled to his opinion, he is, his one-sided portrayal of China as a model for global dominance overlooks significant concerns, such as authoritarian policies and economic challenges, including a property market crisis and youth unemployment issues. Similarly, dismissing America's economic plans without acknowledging its resilience, innovation, and global influence presents an incomplete picture. A balanced perspective would critically assess both nations' strengths and flaws, fostering constructive dialogue rather than divisive propaganda. By neglecting preparedness content, engaging in questionable monetization practices, and promoting a skewed geopolitical narrative, this creator risks alienating his audience and diminishing his credibility. Now, those in the preparedness community should focus on universal principles of self-reliance and resilience, not selective advocacy that serves personal or ideological ends. Additionally, this YouTube developer's criticism of the UK governing for or government for worsening conditions in the country further exposes the inconsistencies in his stance and detractions, or it detracts from his credibility in the preparedness space. While we may have legitimate grievances about UK policies, such as rising living costs or bureaucratic inefficiencies, his complaints come across as opportunistic, while paired with his praise for China and his disparagement of America. This selective outrage suggests that he is less interested in offering constructive solutions for UK residents and more focused on fueling discontent to bolster his online persona. A genuine preparedness advocate would channel such frustrations into practical advice for navigating economic or social challenges in the UK, such as strategies for financial resilience or community building, rather than merely railing against the government. He undermines his role as a resource for his audience, further highlighting his shift away from the preparedness content that initially defined his channel. Yeah. To close this up, what should be understood is that let's see if this will play. That what should be understood is this.
The golden age of America begins right now. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly.
All right, so I hope you guys heard that. I realized I couldn't actually show it to you because I'm using my phone in the long format. But the reality is that everybody is, the whole world is trying to gang up on the United States without any introspection, without any like, hey, we know we're screwed up, so let's focus on us. No, let's just yell and scream at America because they want to take back everything that we've been stealing from them. With that said, let's see, who's the creator? Who's this creator? I prefer not to use any names, living in 1984, because I want him to watch this and know that I'm being honest with him and not naming names. It's just that easy, okay? Let's see, y'all seen that video too. Honestly, I had no idea. I don't know many British prepper channels. There you go. Yeah, and I think that there's a lot to be said for British prepper channels. And we're going to cover one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of them, but also it's really difficult because they do not have some of the capabilities that we have here in America. They'll point to guns, yeah, whatever, that's we check the box, whatever, okay? But we have a lot more capabilities here because we have more freedom here. Now, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Once again, if you have not hit that thumbs up button, please do so now. And as usual, if you are not used to watching this channel, you're new, make sure that you do subscribe. I'm normally here at 10 a.m. Eastern, but I do these evening ones from time to time. And let's see, what else? Say hi. I'll say hi back to you. And put stuff in the comments. You talk, I'll talk about stuff, you'll type some stuff, and then I'll talk about some of the stuff that you typed. All right, so with that said, I'm trying to get this adjusted, right? It's just doing whatever it wants to do. It's time for a little bit of introspection on the UK, all right? Based on recent reports, public opinion surveys, and analysis, I've built a list that outlines 10 significant issues that people in the UK are experiencing, with a focus on those where government policies or actions have been cited as the contributing factors. Now, this list draws on the sources like the Office for National Statistics, or Statisia, or YouGov, and Human Rights Watch, among others, and reflects challenges as of April 2025. So this is current. Each issue includes explanation. There we go. An explanation of the problem and the government's role in contributing to it, grounded in available data and public sentiment. The issues are ordered based on their prominence in surveys and reports, starting with the most frequently cited. Here we go. YouTube tripping. Both formats. Okay, so one, cost of living crisis. Apparently things suck in the UK. Here in America, we got things bad, but I'm gonna lay some numbers down on you, and it's gonna kind of blow you away. If you are surprised when I tell you these things, put a 1 in the chat. Cost of living crisis. There's a cost of living crisis in the UK. So the issue is that around 87 to 93% of UK adults have reported that the cost of living as a top concern, with 91% noticing increased costs compared to a year ago. Energy bills, rent, mortgage, payments are particularly burdensome, with 41% finding energy bills difficult to afford and 35% struggling with household costs. How did this happen? Let's talk about the government contribution to the problem. The critics argue that government policies such as insufficient energy, price caps, limited support for low-income households, and austerity measures have exacerbated financial pressures. The failure to adequately address rising fuel prices, which are at 58% reported fuel prices increase since last year, and the lack of robust interventions to curb inflation have been highlighted as key factors. Many people are posting all about the points that we're talking about, but it's the rising utility prices and inadequate responses to the economic challenges by their government that are breaking the backs of the citizenry of the United Kingdom. The kingdom has fallen. It is just that easy. Listening while setting up a tent. Teresa, I love you. That is awesome. That is UK is Donald Duck. That's funny. 12.5 billion to Ukraine doesn't help. That's absolutely. We went through it ourselves. These are, it's a shame because the United States was supposed to follow. It's like they say everything that happens in the UK, it's about 30 days away from happening in the United States. And we put a stop to that. And we're not tolerating it anymore. And now these are the death throes of the people who are used to getting and having whatever the hell they want to have. And we are making things difficult for them because they depended on us just doing whatever the hell they wanted, Fraggle Rock, what's up? Fraggle Rock VHS. That's a pretty cool name. I just saw Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars passed away oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. Everybody say a prayer for Rick. All right. Let's see here. Does that end the Harris bloodline? I have no idea. Fandom has a way of squirting out little offspring that nobody knew about. Living 1984 says, open arms to most of the world too. Yeah, there you go. All right. Number 2, and if you guys didn't know this, Living in 1984 is in the UK. At least I think so. And he will be able to refute anything that I say, which I truly appreciate. I have leather skin. You will not hurt my feeling. Oh, the coffee's so good. Rose says, I've had little interactions with UK or other than over Facebook food groups. We find each other to be arrogant about our foods, but they say they don't have a certain food product. And I see it, then it shuts. Then I see it, then it shuts them down. Yeah, I've listened to this guy for about 6 months now. I came across him accidentally. Been listening to him for about 6 months. And every single time I try to say something, it's automatically trying to get shut down, you know. Greg from Brazil, nice to see you, bro. Nice to see you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, brosif. All right, so number 2, the NHS, the mighty NHS. If you guys don't know what that is, that's the national health system that our leftist friends here in America decided to. Oh, well, they're making it work in the UK. No. We told you it wouldn't work in Canada. You didn't listen. Why is my phone making noise? Hold on, it's probably the stand. No, I'm not sure why that happened, but anyway, I've got to. Give me 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. That was the real world calling in, and I had to do something about it, so I did. All right. So with that said, let's see. Canada tried to tell the UK that, or the Canadians tried to tell the UK it wouldn't work. The UK did it, and then now it's blah. It's blah. So Rick is not dead. That's cool. All right. So the National Health Service, the NHS, strain and long waiting time. So here's the issue. The National Health Service is a major concern for 84 to 89% of adults, with 7.6 million people on treatment waiting lists. Let me break that down for you. If you say that in America, that's not so great. That's not so bad. But there's only I think it's either 63 or 68 million people in the United Kingdom. So this is a huge percentage of people that are on waiting lists. And public satisfaction, you know, at a 40-year low for this organization is at 29% rated in 2022. Now, long waits for elective care, up to 18 weeks for some. And your general practice or GP access, general practitioner access issues, only 45% find it easy to contract or to even contact their general practitioner. And this is widespread. And then let's see, how the government contribute to this? Well, underfunding, workforce shortages, about 100,000 person or staff shortfall, you know, within the NHS, you know, and a lack of comprehensive plan for social care. You know, it's been linked to government policies, directly linked. You know, the Health Foundation notes that the government's failure to invest in infrastructure and training capacity has strained the system, while high staff burnout, 34%, and general practitioner dissatisfactions reflect these policy shortcomings. So it's not these aren't just factoids that are getting made up. These are the actual people that are in the fighting holes of medical care in the United Kingdom every single day saying this stuff is broken, so badly broken that it may not be fixable. And the government is literally just going, oh, well, what do you mean, Muggsy, what's going on here? You know, the lords and ladies are not in a give a shit mood over there in the UK to talk about the money that goes to the National Health Service. It's pretty insanely ridiculous. And they want, and people in the world want socialized medicine. That is what happens with socialized medicine. Disregard, don't believe me? Ask the Canadians. It's that easy. It's that easy. I'm going to go to the chat here real quick. And I do owe you guys, oh, you know what I forgot? Where's it at? 222 question. I owe you guys a question. I got to put it in there. Control copy. And I got to add that. Why does it want me to create a poll? Okay. There we go. I didn't think it was create a poll. I guess it is create a poll. There it is. All right. We're going to, and you guys don't have to fill this out yet. I mean, obviously, unless you're in the UK or super familiar with what's going on over there, because it ain't pretty. You know, these people are sitting around complaining about Orange Man bad and Americans are so mean and oh my God. But you know, the problem is they've got a homegrown crisis that is about 10 times worse than what's happening with the global economy or tariffs or anything like that. And so the question is, what is the top UK issue that's due to the government? There's no answers, and that's okay. That's okay. Immigration control, boom, somebody nailed that right off the bat. Let's see here. Open arms to most of the world. Interactions. I'm going down the list. Should we care about the measles outbreak? Well, yeah. I mean, we have 700 confirmed cases. There's actually some here in the state of Virginia where I'm at now. But let's not pull our hair out about it, because the measles vaccine is actually a real immunization. It's not going to be some temporary thing. That's why people aren't freaking out about it. All right. And so it is what it is. No, let's freak out. Oh my God. How about if we get rid of all the illegal aliens? And I bet you that our measles disappears. All right, let's see here. Shimshan. I'm going to try and remember to say that right. Shimshan. I'm from the UK, and the NHS is not the only option. We can pay and go private. We have options. Hey, I think that is great, Shimshan. I truly do. The problem with it is that you have a nationalized system that you're not supposed to ever have to pay. That was the whole goal of it, right? They destroyed, in the name of creating a socialized system, they destroyed private medical care, even to the point where the only companies that were still, I believe it was down to one company at one time, where there's like only the rich had this care. And then they started like, oh, maybe we need to do something about this. And then they started to allow it again to happen. So maybe you guys can get that fixed. I truly hope you can. In Mother Russia, they fix you. NHS hasn't recovered from C-19. I believe it, but that's bull, man. We're talking about something almost 5 years ago. That's bull. All right. And not to you, but the situation is bull. Let's see here. Excels of to. I'm just going to try to call you Excels. Giving birth instead, America should be free, in my opinion. Giving birth. I'm going to guess it's in. There you go. Meant inside. I see where you fix that. Should be free. Someone's got to pay for the doctors. Get the insurance. Here in America, you pay for your insurance, and you get it done, and this, that, and the other thing, or you get a bill. You know what I'm saying? It's just that easy. That's how we can afford to have the systems that we have here in America. It's by people paying for them. And don't get me wrong, because the girlfriend's got cancer, and we're looking at bills in the thousands of dollars every 3 weeks, basically. And no one can afford that except for the rich. So don't get me wrong, but it is what it is. Alrighty, did no adjust though. I said of those options. There's private health care. It's very expensive. 400. I guess this 400 pounds for a 5-minute consultation. That's insanely ridiculous. Insanely ridiculous. They do that. It's meant to be that way. It's absolutely meant to be that way. That way they can control exactly what's happening. And it shouldn't be. It should not be that way. No device setup. I do not want to device setup. What the hell is going on here? Anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. The number 3 thing is economic stagnation and low growth. The issue is the economy is a top issue for 69 to 76% of Britons, and slower GDP growth and declining real wage contributing to financial insecurity. That's right, you ain't got enough money. Public sentiment reflects frustration with a low growth model, is what the government will tell you, and weakened economy prospects. Yeah, they're weak, all right, because now the tariffs are on the table. Now, the government's contribution to this whole big, hornswoggle that's going on over there is that government policies, including post-Brexit trade barriers, reduce the EU funding, and high business taxes are blamed for declining investment and trade intensity. The Brexit-related disruptions, such as a weaker pound and labor shortages, have been cited as government-driven factors. The Tuck reported the UK's low investment. It was reported that the UK's low investment 34 out of 36 countries. It's number 34 out of 36 countries in Europe as long-term policy failure. They're literally saying that they're being evaluated as 34 out of 36 because the UK government is projecting long-term policy failure. So I don't think we got to worry about no tariffs, guys. I think it's time to clean up your own act. That's what I think. Let's see here. Living in 100% true. I paid 400 pounds to check my daughter's ears and throat. You could buy the devices and do it yourself. Have a kit. Excellus says, your government will not save you. That's the moral of the story, period. Prepare your own home. 100% Excellus. 100%. 100%. All right, we're going to move on to number 4. Housing shortages and unaffordability. The issue is housing is a concern for 57% of UK adults with unaffordable rents, high mortgage rates, and a shortage of home driving's discontent. Only 192,000 homes were built in 2022 against a need of 380,000. Wow. That's like post-COVID. That's like year after COVID type stuff. That's crazy. Man, I just got the COVID banner. Thanks. Anyway, it's my own fault. Wage to house price ratios are incredibly unfavorable right now. Government contributions. Well, let's see. The government's failure to meet housing construction targets and inadequate funding for social housing are seen as key drivers. Policies favoring landlords and insufficient regulation of the housing market have been criticized for prioritizing profit over accessibility, exasperating poverty and homelessness. Guys, I can't tell you enough that the government of the United Kingdom can very easily solve these problems. But the problem is, and you're going to hear it in my tone and in my verbiage, because the United Kingdom is socialist. I keep hearing from these European, we'll call them European preppers, and how they're talking about how they're part of the West and they're part of democracy, and this is the fall of, this is how what's the word I'm looking for? It's not conventional. It's a type of economics. Is fading away. It's going away, and this and that, and we got to let China in, and we got to do this because of that. And it's like, how about if you just reach down and grab your sack and remember where your father came from, and his father, and his father, and his father, and his father, before we kicked his ass, and his father, okay? Because they all fought to get where they are, all right? And this whole living off the government dole has done nothing but get the UK in trouble. And I can talk to this point because my lineage goes into the fishing coast of the United Kingdom on the North Coast. All right. So I have family there someplace. Maybe I'll meet him, maybe I won't. But based on some of the laws that are in that country, which we're going to cover, I could never go to the United Kingdom ever again. Ever again. All right, so let's see here. I'm on a payment plan for medical bills. I believe it. Nobody can do that. Silent War, been a minute. Yeah, it has. What's up, bro? Let's see. Living in 19. I was pay private and get seek a week letter or 2 years on a waiting list for the NH. I believe it. Let's see. I think we're up to speed on the chat. Make sure you guys are posting stuff in there as we get this the yippee yap. And it's time for a little bit of retrospection by my friends across the pond. So, number 5, poverty and food insecurity. The issue is approximately 4.5 million people, including 4.3 million children, live in poverty, with food bank usage up 81% since 2017. 2.1 million parcels distributed. Single parent housing and ethnic minorities face disproportionate food insecurity. What I say, there's like 60, it's either 63 or 68. You know what? I need to ask the Googles. Let me ask the Googles so I got my numbers right here. How many people live in the UK? Question mark. What's it going to say? What's it going to say? Come on now. Thinking. I mean, come on. This is not too hard. This is not too hard. 68.3 million people. So when 20 million people, okay, this is crazy. When 81%, where are we at? Hold on a second. I'm scrolling back up. 14.5 million people out of 68 million people live in poverty. They live in poverty. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And the government's contribution is that it's made cuts to Social Security. Did you hear those words, America? The UK government has made cuts to Social Security, particularly the universal credit that they have and an inadequate welfare support. They have been cited as increasing poverty and food insecurity. Human Rights Watch notes that government policies ignoring warnings about Social Security cuts have worsened conditions, especially for the vulnerable groups. Oh my God. Somebody figure out that percentage I was just telling you about there. 14 million to 68 million. What percentage of that is living in poverty? I can't stand people coming at America saying we're the worst thing ever. Man, you might want to get right with Jesus because you're about to meet them all. That's crazy. Let's see here. Living says, ask me anything. Where are we at here? It's higher than that. All right. I need a sip of coffee. All right. Let's see here. Number six, immigration and asylum policy challenges. Now, the issue is that immigration concerns, including high net immigration and asylum seeker treatment, are significant, with 50% of adults citing international conflict as a related issue. Now, the Nationality and Borders Act has drawn criticism for criminalizing asylum seekers. And the government's contribution to this big old problem, the government's post-Brexit immigration policies, failure to reduce net migration as promised, and harsh asylum laws, things like Rwanda policy. If you live there, you know what I'm talking about. They're seen as mismanaged. Now, Human Rights Watch and the UN Refugee Council have condemned these policies that violate refugee rights and fail to provide safe asylum routes. Whether it's like, you just can't win. You can't win. It's like, I'm going to make a law and it's going to try to do some stuff. And no, you can't do that. This almost sounds like an American government problem, when it's like when one party is in charge and the other is not. But the problem with the UK is that isn't really a thing because the socialists have taken over the parliament. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Rose says, here in Indiana, one community recently passed an ordinance that will take effect in January that only 10% of homes in the areas are allowed to be rental. To register homes related to the Airbnb party homes. Gotcha. Light Raider, good to see you. All right, number 7, declining public infrastructure. The issue is issues like declining water quality, unaffordable transport, and crumbling infrastructure. Things like unsafe school buildings, for 700,000 children are widely reported. Now, public investment remains low, with the UK ranking 34 out of 36 for infrastructure investment. So where's all the money going? Where's all this tax money going, man? That's the question I'd be asking. But you guys can't do that. And we're going to go over why you can't do that. We know, but I'm not going to give it away. You guys know why you can't, but I'm not going to give it away. The government contribution to this problem is decades of underinvestment, privatization policies, and a failure to modernize infrastructure, broadband, sewers, things like that, like the modern world that they pretend to be in, are attributed to government neglect. The Guardian highlights how privatization has prioritized dividends over resilience. a trend worsened by government inaction. When it's really funny too, because my friend who's over there in the UK making YouTube videos or I think he's live right now actually. His broadband is, we'll say his internet is extremely fast. In fact, his internet is faster than mine. So I'm trying to figure out why his country is so messed up. All right, let's see here. Living in 1984 says lots of bad school buildings, major cuts to school funding. There you go. Shimson says privatization has ruined our trains. Ridiculously expensive. Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing too is one of the things that this guy would complain about was how it's like how like China has laid like 1 million times more rail than America ever did, even in its heyday. And I think, hey, that's great, but we don't use trains in America. Which trains are for moving cargo, and we can all have our own cars here. So it's a little it's all intentional, Oops says, isn't it? All right. Number 8. Health inequalities and stagnating life expectancy. That's right, you guys, life expectancy is shrinking. Now, the issue is that healthy life expectancy has stagnated with a 20-year gap between the most and the least deprived areas. And what does that mean? That means if you live in a really good area in the UK, you're expected to live 20 years longer than the people who are living in the bad areas in the UK. And that is just a bunch of hooey is what that is right there. The UK ranks 26th in Europe in Europe for female life expectancy, down from 21st in 2000, with inequities worsening by the pandemic. It's absolutely insane. And how did the UK government contribute to this? The government's failure to address social detriments of health, such as poverty and housing and insufficient public health funding, have contributed. The Health Foundation notes that policy inaction on health disparities and underfunding of preventative measures are the key factor. Oh, geez. Let's just not put it. Let's not put a label on it. Let's just make it someone else's fault. Let's just kick that can down the road. Unfortunately, the government of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, even under the EU, had been kicking that stuff down the can for years, and now you're paying for it. Oh, my friends over there in the motherland. It's pretty crazy. Let's see here. Local council cut roads not getting fixed. Yeah, that's great. That's super duper. Rose says, have seen number of families moving to Spain or France, whether homesteading or change of life, to whether they can afford property to live on. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I always tell people, if things are so bad that you're losing 20 years of your life, you should probably move. You should definitely probably move. And oh, by the way, if you're in here from the UK and haven't been posted in the chat, please do so now. We've also reached that point. We've actually passed it, but it's okay. We've reached that point in our live stream where if you love your country, not your government, put a 1 in the chat, America. And I'm going to drink some coffee. I'm going to read you some more educational points, some facts, so that the people in the UK that may or may not watch this later on will know that we're paying attention, and maybe stop crying like little babies and fix your own damn problems. For those of you in the UK that are in the chat, I love you because you're paying attention. All right, let's see here. These were from the UK to the continent. There you go. Number of families. We did that already. Everybody's doing the number 1 thing. All right, so going to hit number 9. Crime and public safety concerns. Now, the issue is that crime is a concern for 55% of adults in the UK. That's all, last time I checked, it's over half of the people in UK are concerned about the level of crime in the UK. Wow. With reports of rising hate crimes, police brutality, black people 7 times more likely to die after restraint. That is insane. and violence against people by police officers. Now, public safety is perceived as weakened. That's the British term. It's like, oh, it's not weak, it's weekend. Yes, yes. All right. Now, the government's contribution to this whole debacle is that, the government cuts to the police funding. Failure to address systemic issues like what they're calling the warrior culture. If you're in the UK, you know what I'm talking about, in policing, and in inadequate response to hate crimes. These kind of things, they spiked post-Brexit. They made a lot of promises and they didn't keep up with it. They're blaming that for that, and the lack of accountability for police misconduct has also been criticized. In fact, if you criticize law enforcement in the United Kingdom, these guys come down on you in platoon-sized formations. It's absolutely crazy, and we're going to cover some of that too, because it's just a little freaking ridiculous. Now, the number 10, education disparities and school conditions, and the issue is that educational outcomes are likely to, they're linked to poverty, with children from the poorest families being 13 times more likely to face poor education and health outcomes. Over 700,000 children attend unsafe or aging school buildings, and suspensions disproportionately affect low-income students. Now, the government's contribution in this whole gaggle is that it's flat out the underfunding of schools. That's what it really comes down to, particularly in the northern regions, and a failure to address unsafe infrastructure like asbestos, which should be gone by now. You know what I'm saying? Or even sewage leaks. These are all government-related issues. Now, policies leading to high suspension rates and inadequate support for special needs students have also been cited. That's incredibly, incredibly insightful, because what it's basically saying is that the people that are in the administrators that are in charge of the systems for education, just bring it down to like one school, don't have the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude to control these students. So they've created a set of rules that gets rid of them easier. Yeah. Put that one in your brain housing group and suck on it for a while. Absolutely insane. Guys, I think the YouTube may be pissed off at me because I'm talking about the UK. If you can do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat, I would greatly appreciate you. That'll kind of like wake up the algorithm a little bit and say, yeah, we need to do this, because I know of other channels that get hit like this from time to time. My numbers are severely spiked. Do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat so that it wakes the chat up. They're after me. Thank God I only have about 15 more minutes tops on this. So now, one of the big reasons that our friends from the UK can't really say a lot here is because if they do, then their lives could change not for the better. And I'm even choosing my words carefully to not get them in trouble. But, the incorporating of UK laws on dissenting speech, UK laws that could be interpreted as silencing dissenting speech, actually include, and you're going to love this, the Communications Act of 2003, Section 127. It criminalizes sending messages that are grossly offensive or indecent, obscene, or menacing. This has been used to prosecute social media posts. The biggest example is Mark Mention's 2018 conviction for a YouTube video deemed a hate crime. It's all about, with the laws in a socialist government, it's all about the interpretation. Well, I feel that this is wrong, and we're going to use this law to shut you down, and you're going to go to jail for 3 to 5 years just because I don't like what you're saying. And they do it all the damn time. Let's see. Canada and New Zealand are very close to being behind the UK. There you go. Rose says, so said no freedom of speech over there as well. We have here. There we go. let's not forget about Public Order Act 1986, Section 5, prohibits threatening or abusive words or behavior causing harassment, alarm, or distress. Oh no, I'm distressed. I watched a YouTube video used against protesters like Harry Hammond's 2001 arrest for anti-homosexuality signs. There was a sign in his video that he had no control over whatsoever, and it was made part of his case. Then let's not forget about the Online Safety Act of 2023, because that's so new and shiny, right? It requires platforms to remove illegal content, e.g., hate speech, incitement, and from 2025 potentially legal but harmful. It's so ridiculous. Content like misinformation. Hundreds have been prosecuted for speech crimes under this act with concerns about overreach. Now, then you have the Police, Crime, Sentencing and Court Act of 2022 and the Public Order Act of 2023. These criminalize protest tactics like locking on or slow marches, with Amnesty UK noting arrests of hundreds of protesters, particularly climate and Palestinian activists. Now, then they have something called investigatory powers that falls under the amendment of the Act of 2024. It expands surveillance powers. It raises concerns about monitoring dissent, the non-crime hate incidents, okay? And police record incidents perceived as hostile without a crime. It's absolutely insane. There's even Harry Miller's court as this guy Harry Miller over there. He must have really pissed off these super lefty socialist nutbag people in the government, because it's just crazy. Now, these laws were aimed at preventing harm, things like hate speech or incitement, and they've been cited for very vague definitions and chilling free expression. For example, the Online Safety Act's lack of clear illegal content definition may lead platforms to over-censor per the Open Rights Group. Cases like Adam Smith, Connor's 2022 arrest for silent prayer near an abortion clinic highlights how laws can target non-disruptive dissent. Now, with all that said, it's like, okay, it's a crappy law, but I don't think you really understand the numbers and why a lot of the people in the UK cannot comment right now. So I've done a little digging, and we've tried to estimate the amount of arrest from dissenting speech, and precise arrest numbers are never going to be able to be found, but it's all about, very broad legal definitions like grossly offensive, they're going to overlap with other crimes like incitement or public disorder. There's going to be, limited centralized data on speech-specific arrests, or potential under-reporting of inconsistent police practices. However, based on the provided sources, which I've dug up, and critical analysis, the historical data shows that in 2016, all the way back to 2016, guys, 3,395 people were detained for online speech, with nearly half prosecuted. This was cited in the London Times. This equates to 9 arrests per day in 2016. In 2017, an estimated 9 people per day were arrested for online speech, with 5 leading to convictions. Now, the Times in 2018 reported that 900% increase in offensive speech arrest in some regions, suggesting thousands annually. Now, if you go out there and ask around a little bit, they're literally telling us that there's about 12,000 arrests in 2023 based off of online posts, comments, and this equates to 33 per day. There's no way to confirm this, but there are confirmed numbers. Now, in April of 2025, which is this month, police reported making 30 plus arrests daily for offensive posts, under the Communications Act of 2003 or Malicious Communications Act of 1988. And this actually supports the between 10 and 12,000 annual arrests. Now, in 2024, the numbers are a little bit more specific. The estimated numbers are somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 arrests annually. And it's a more conservative figure. But it does align with earlier reports. Now, the post-Southport riots, 741 people were arrested for social media posts, comments, including retweets, including a crackdown on riot-related speech. This suggests that targeted spikes during unrest are what is actually happening. Now, with all that said, I think we've pretty much covered all the nitty-gritty details type stuff, guys. But the reality is that things are not so great in the UK. And to come back around to the very beginning of this video, you don't throw rocks when you live in a glass house. And if you're watching this video and you're in a different country and you're talking about how bad America is, you better remember that we probably kicked your ass sometime in the past and that you've forgotten the human spirit. And anytime you tell us it's going to take us 25 years to do something, we somehow figure out how to do it in 4.5 years. It's kind of like that, the whole American spirit, that spirit of freedom that has been squashed in all of these other countries that we refuse to let to be squashed here. All right, guys, I'm not seeing anything happening in the chat, so I'm either shut down or you're completely dazzled and amazed by my verbiage. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. Also, in 32 minutes, we will be doing the members-only Discord live talk. If you're not a member, then I can't help you. If you are a member, I will see you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I shall see you when I see you. Don't forget that thumbs up button on the way out. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Now I got to spin the phone around and all that good stuff. Bye-bye.